Welcome to United Taste of America, Louisiana, our 18th state. It's a state that we got when Mr. Jefferson bought the Louisiana Purchase from Napoleon. This became a state in 1812. Something else happened here in 1812. Colonel Jackson came down the Mississippi and defeated the British in the War of 1812 after the treaty had been signed and the war was over. But that's for another story. There's probably no other state in the Union like Louisiana for a culinary tradition. Red beans and rice, boudin, poor boys, meat pies, trout almondine, oysters Rockefeller. You could go on and on and on. How about cocktails? Cocktails like the Pim's Cup, the Milk Punch, the Zazarak, and the Flaming Hurricane. All came from Louisiana. But no other dish represents Louisiana like gumbo. Now, gumbo can be fighting words because everybody's got a gumbo recipe. Duck and andouille gumbo, seafood gumbo, okra gumbo, filet gumbo, all kinds of gumbo. So what do we pick? We've picked an iconic gumbo from the legendary matriarch of Dooky Chase, Leah Chase. This is her famous Creole Gumbo, and we're excited to share it with you today. Here today in this beautiful room at Dooky Chase with Mrs. Stella Chase Reese, the daughter of Leah and Dooky Jr., and we are thrilled to be here.
And we are thrilled to have you here in our legacy room. This room has a lot of history here in New Orleans, and especially in our restaurant. So as you go around the room, your eyes will fall on a lot of things in this room. It will fall on the mural that we just had done. And this was in honor of our local civil rights leaders who came here and strategized along with the national ones. People like Dr. King, Andrew Young, Jesse Jackson, our own first African-American mayor, Dutch Morial, A.P. Turo, Rivas Ortiq, Thurgood Marshall. So many people came up here, and so many American families, so many families in our community came up here to celebrate as well. So this room means a lot to the Chase family as well as to our community.
Well, let's start at the beginning. Your grandfather started this restaurant in 1941. So tell me about kind of the history of the restaurant.
Okay, so I can tell you a little bit about the history of the restaurant. It was started by my grandparents, Emily Tanette Chase and her husband, Edgar Chase Sr. And I neglected to say Edgar Dooky Chase Sr. And so the name, people ask me, how did you get the name? Well, my grandmother was a person who loved the community, and so did my grandfather. And they would entertain in their homes, but of course their homes were not big enough to entertain everybody in our community. And there was a need in the African American community to have a place to gather, to meet your neighbors, to come together and to enjoy life and celebrate different activities in life. So in 1941, my grandmother opened these doors with my grandfather. And she decided, well, she wanted to show her culinary talents, but she also wanted to celebrate my grandfather, who was well known in the community. He loved the community. He led second lines. He was a part of it. So being a smart lady, she named it after his nickname, Dooky Chase. So they started in 1941, and of course, my parents came in. My father, who was a musician, after he married my mother, little children like myself started coming, and you know, musicians couldn't have all the money they needed to keep a family going. So he left his joy, which is his love of music. He had a 15-piece band, orchestra that used to travel around the South. But he came and he used his talents at the bar. And my mother, after we were old enough to go to school, start our school age, she came in the restaurant. and she started with her talents. And she brought so much to the restaurant. She insisted that we have white tablecloths. She began doing her specials, her lunch specials, and adding different courses to dinner as well. So that's how my parents started. First of all, thinking about what the community needed and how they can bring something that would add to our community and bring everyone together.
One of the things I learned today was that you started and continue to do etiquette classes for
Yes.
young people. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes. So, as our young people grow a little bit older and start going out and enjoying life as well, we hope they come here to Dooky Chase's. We felt it was necessary to work with a group, a mentor group, the Silverbacks. They mentor the children in the school, middle-aged, middle school students, and then they bring them here for etiquette. And we thought that was important because so many things are done around the table. You meet your new boss around a table, around a dinner table or a lunch table, and we wanted to make sure that the children were prepared for this. And also prom times or going out to different luncheons, that they would not fear that they knew how to eat properly, use the right utensils, and etiquette, the manners that they needed at the dining room table.
I
So
love
we've
that
been
because
doing
those
that.
traditions are so important and continue
It is.
in what we call a civilized society. You
Oh,
want to make
yes,
sure that
yes.
everybody has the right manners and all of that. Now,
Right.
we're here celebrating your mother's Creole Gumbo.
Oh, yes.
Gumbo is such a quintessential American dish because it is a mix of all the cultures, and it certainly is a mix of all the cultures in New Orleans between the African culture, the Native American culture, the Spanish culture,
Yes,
and the
it
French
is.
culture
Yes,
all
it
together
is.
that I guess forms this thing called Creole.
It is. All of this comes together for the gumbo. And my mother loved that, and that was her signature dish, the gumbo. And she said, because the gumbo is just like our country, just like our community. A little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it all comes together and have a great taste. So, like, each seasoning was important. Each piece of, whether it was a shrimp, whether it was chicken, whether it was crab, whatever she put in her gumbo added to that flavor. And she thought, this is what life should be. This is how we all come together with our different little spice, our different tastes, and make something good. And so, of course, she used to say, eat my bowl of gumbo and you're problem free. All your problems will be solved. So that's my mom.
Well, the hospitality that y'all have here and the hospitality that went on in this room with some of our greatest civil rights leaders and other business and community leaders led to profound changes. And it all starts by enjoying a meal together. I always feel like if you eat with others, you get to know them better than any other way.
And you're right. And that's what my mother thought. My mother said, so what's my talents? How could I give back? During the civil rights time, she said, well, I can't go and boycott. I have children. I can't do this. And she said, but instead of thinking about what you can't do, you have to think about what you can do. So she said, but I can feed people. I can nourish them to go out and do what they have to do. And she also felt that, just as you said, coming around the table is important. She would say families need to go back to the table. You need to have table time to learn about each other. And she felt that way about the community and about different people in our community, that if you came together over a good meal, she said, we all like food. We all need to eat. So come together doing what we all love to do, eat a good meal, and then instead of talking about your differences, let's talk about how we are alike. And those were the one things. And I always said, my mother was the food and my father was the musician. Two things that brought people together.
No question about it.
Two things that make people enjoy life. And here at the restaurant, they came together and hopefully made a lot of people come together and enjoy a better life.
Well, I can't thank you enough for having us today and sharing a little bit about your family history. And I love the fact that when I was in the kitchen, there was the fifth generation
The
working
fifth
in there,
generation.
which was very, very exciting. Stella,
So
thank you
yeah,
so much for
thank
having us
you.
today. I
We
appreciate it.
appreciate you. Thank you for coming here, and we invite everybody and just to do what you said. Come to your table and enjoy each other and find out the spice that each one brings to life.
Well, you nourish the
Thank you.
body and it nourishes the soul too.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay.
I'm here with Dooky Chase the fourth.
Yes.
Fourth generation in the family here. I'm very excited to be here with you today, but I'm also excited because I know this is where your grandmama cooked.
Oh, this is her kitchen.
I'm sure. And so, you know, she was such an American treasure. And we're going to talk about her famous Creole Gumbo that you've begun to put your own little spin on too, which I really, really like.
We're gonna keep it her recipe, Leah Chase. You know, when you're talking about Louisiana, you're talking about gumbo. And if you're talking about gumbo, you're talking about Chef Leah Chase, the queen of Creole cuisine. She certainly has the best gumbo in this world. And for us, you know, the history of the gumbo here at Dooky Chase, it just means so much to us. You know, when you're thinking of a dish such as gumbo, you can't cook a small pot of gumbo.
No, no.
So that means you're bringing people to the table. Also, when you look at all these beautiful ingredients and proteins, people say, what are you making? You know, this symbolizes who we are as a community, right? All these different proteins coming together with a wonderful roux. You know, my grandmother knocked it out the park with this recipe. So I love to showcase this anytime somebody wants to learn how to make our gumbo.
All right, well, let's start. Where do you start? You make your roux first?
So for us, we're gonna walk through this process. I want to tell you all the different ingredients we have here.
Okay.
We have a chorizo sausage. That's a Creole hot sausage that has a lot of red pepper flakes, cayenne pepper, a lot of different seasonings in it. Then we have a smoked sausage here from Louisiana. We have veal stew. Of course, we have our blue crab. Of course, we have our Gulf shrimp, chicken. We got our spices here. You look at this, you talk about the Holy Trinity, right? You have your onions, your bell pepper, the celery, and we add the poke. You got to have the garlic in. And one thing that's key to our gumbo, this is called liquid gold here. This is oyster water.
Oh.
So we touch every element of the seafood that we have here in Louisiana just to pick up that flavor.
So when someone is shucking the oysters,
you better
they're
save
then
that liquid.
capturing and keeping that liquid for your gumbo.
Man,
That's
this
amazing.
salty brine
Never
oyster
thought about
flavor,
that. What a
just
great,
adds so much flavor
unbelievable.
and depth to your
Yes,
gumbo.
now I'm seeing all these
And
trade
the last
secrets.
thing that I have working, right, because gumbo is a process. When you look at this is a
Making your
wonderful
stock there.
I'm making my stock. This is a beautiful ham shank, smoked ham shank. So what we have started here is gumbo is a one-pot dish that all you want to do is just continue to add flavor and never lose any flavor. So we started with that beautiful smoked shank. I'll turn that up and I'll just walk through the process as we go. I want you to also see this pot that's working right here. So when you're talking about making a roux, you're talking about fat and you're talking about flour. Well, we don't want to lose any flavor. So the sausage that we have, we render that fat that's already naturally in that sausage because I want those seasonings. I want that smokiness. I want that pepper. I want all that to be in my oil. My grandmother would say she would flavor the oil. And that's what she meant by that. That oil has to pick up all those protein flavors, all that seasoning, all that great work those sausage makers put into that sausage. We want to keep it right here in this pot.
I haven't seen that anywhere before. That is very cool.
So when you're looking at this, gumbo is about not only layering flavor, but making sure you're adding your proteins at the right time, right? That veal stew is going to take longer to cook than shrimp. So you start that process of adding that veal stew. And again, this is enhancing that stock. You have the smoked ham shank, you have the veal stew. What we do have in there is our trinity already. You have the onions in there, you have the bell pepper, the celery, we have the garlic in there. You can see this is rendering pretty good.
Yeah,
it's
that
getting
really
that fat
is.
coming
Look at
through.
that.
You can
That's
start to
unreal.
smell that,
Yes.
that pepper coming through. After that veal stew, we'll work over here and we'll start to add, that's our smoked sausage here. We'll bring that into this dish. Chorizo sausage, we'll start to move this out of here. And you can see that that beautiful color we have on that sausage. And I want to leave all that oil in here because that's how we're gonna make our beautiful roux. So I'm coming right in this pot here. And I'll pick up the rest.
And nothing beats a cast iron skillet.
Oh, look, if you're making a roux and everything and you want that heat and that temperature, you cannot beat a cast iron skillet. That's where you want to go.
And I have a feeling that skillet has seen a lot of days.
Let me tell you something about the pots in this kitchen are older than most of us, certainly older than mine. And that was my first job in this kitchen, was cleaning my grandmother's pots. You had to have them shine. They had to sparkle top to bottom, inside, all over. But that just shows you, when you talk about the passion she had for cooking, the passion she had for her pots, her stove, the passion she had for people. That's our story here at Dooky Chase, is just the love of people, the love of humanity.
Yeah.
And this dish tells that story for us.
It does.
So now you can start to see our stock starting to take shape and turn in color, right? You have the sausage in there, both of them, the smoke, the chorizo. You also have our Trinity in there, the ham shank, the veal stew. Then we'll start to add in our seafood, right? We'll start to add in this beautiful blue crab. What we do is we peel them. We break them in half, and the reason why we break them in half is I want all that flavor to ooze out in here. I want every bit of juice from that crab, the fat, the meat. I want it just to tell its story. We certainly do clean it, but we want you to get just that beautiful crab flavor that's gonna run through in here. Now we're gonna come to the process that everybody loves when they're making a gumbo. Right, you're talking about the roux.
The roux, yep.
Certainly you can see we have our flavored
I love
oil.
the fact that you did it with the sausage.
You don't want to lose any flavor, especially when you're cooking, right? That is the secret to all of great chefs, is just to maintain that beautiful flavor.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, growing up, you learn that in my grandmother's kitchen. There's a time when I was learning how to cook gumbo, I would boil some shrimp, save it, toss out the water, clean the pot, and she's screaming, "Where's my liquid?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I just threw it away."
Exactly.
So, that's what I learned, is you never want to waste anything. You want to save that flavor and enhance. You can see my oil's flavored here. We'll start to add in that flour. And I stir it around. And there's a lot of different rules here. For us, we go about a medium complexion, right? My grandmother would joke, she would do her roll to her complexion. That's a medium darkness.
And it's kind of, it's a 1-to-1 in a lot of ways, right? 1 to flour to oil.
That's correct.
What you're trying to do.
That's correct.
But obviously you've done this so many times that
that we don't measure.
Don't have to measure
Yeah,
anything.
we eyeball so
exactly.
much. But that's because you're exactly right. We grew up doing this, right? So, and we know what we're looking for, right? You do this, you know the consistency you're looking for. You see some oil flopping around, you know you need a little more flour over there. And then once you get it, you say, all right, this is where we need it to be. But the beautiful thing, as you start to just smell that nuttiness as you brown this roux, right? So in Cajuns, they would take this to a dark color, right? You get that more nutty flavor coming through, which is great. And that's the thing about, you talk about the American story of gumbo. Everybody cooks a gumbo. There's so many different gumbos. There's chicken and andouille. There's a duck gumbo. There's a seafood gumbo. There's a just okra-based gumbo. But the love that people do when they're making that gumbo, they're cooking for other people. They're making this pot for their neighbors. They're making this pot for their family.
Because there's no shortcuts.
No
to do it
shortcuts.
right.
You got to do it right.
It is a true labor of love.
That's exactly right. The history of the gumbo in this restaurant. When you talk about civil rights leaders, both black and white, strategizing in our upstairs dining room.
Yeah.
My grandmother would often say she helped change the course of America over a bowl of gumbo. We all love our culture. We all love our traditions, and we all love to celebrate them. And we want you to. That's how we learn.
Right.
But we also understand that we're so similar. The same way I get my family together on Sunday and eat gumbo and chicken, you get your family together and eat your culture and your traditions. The same way we do these different things. And that's the beautiful thing. It's really about, the love of people. We all have it, and the food brings those people to the table. It brings us together to have dialogue, to understand, what did you do growing up? This is how I grew up. This is what my experiences were, and this is what shaped my life. And now I understand what shaped your life. And now we got that common connectivity. And you can see that root just starting to take shape, that color starting to transform. Add a little more flour to that. And you can see I'm moving it off the bottom. And then you start to smell that nutty flavor, right?
Because the last thing you want to do
You
is
can't
burn
that
the root.
And you can see what I did here. When that cast iron maintains that heat, I take it off the fire, right? So this is not on fire, but that residual heat from this cast iron
continues
pot
to brown
is
it.
going to continue to brown it. And that's what you're looking for. Now, if you're going for Cajun, you're going to keep this thing going to just that beautiful, dark, nutty, rich flavor.
Right.
You can smell a little bit of that nuttiness coming through here, but we're not going to go any darker than this. And we'll start to add this. Now, the one thing you have to be mindful of when you're adding roux, it's hot and hot, it'll start the volcano up. So what you want to do is just add a little bit at a time. You'll see what I'm getting here. Turn this fire down, and you see that?
Yeah, see,
That's
steam
what
it. You don't
that's
want
steam. You don't want to put all this in there because it'll bubble up, and if you get this on you, you better call a doctor because this is not going anywhere fast.
Yeah. Then look how that color is beginning to come into that.
Now we have one more thing that we do here that also enhances our color, and I'll show you that right at the end as we finish this beautiful gumbo here. And now you start to see that consistency starting to come through that we're looking for. That beautiful roux that we were chasing just to get that velvety consistency. Again, chicken takes just a few minutes to cook, so we'll start to add this in here. Now that veal stew is starting to get tender. That ham shank is already getting ready to fall off the bone. We're adding this beautiful chicken breast that's going in here.
Combination of all those flavors is unbelievable.
And then that roux just holding this together. And that's how we cook here at Dooky Chase. We know what we're looking for. We know the taste that we're looking for. I'll go ahead and take a taste right here before I start to add in the salt.
So
see if I need to add any
salt.
Yeah.
And you may not.
That's beautiful. You taste all those proteins coming out. I can taste the smokiness of that ham shank, the sausage, even that crab flavor, that veal stew. Needs a little bit of salt just to pick up that shine of it.
Okay.
But we'll start to add just a hint, not much.
Okay.
And then now we're getting to the last finishing steps, right? This shrimp that's gonna go in here, these beautiful Gulf shrimp.
And that takes no time.
No time. So that's why you go towards the end. And we just start to fold them in.
I watch people overcook shrimp.
You don't want to do that.
It's like eating rubber.
Yeah, you want them nice, plump, juicy.
Yep.
You want them to maintain. You know when you start to overcook shrimp, when this 21, 25 starts to look very, very small, you want that to still have some juice. You want that to still have some liquid. This is our oyster water.
Yeah, what a cool idea.
So
I never thought about
that'll
that.
come to finish that off. You know, we showcased everything we had. This leaf right here, this green herb, that's thyme. We use that thyme, but we use it in a ground fashion, right? The reason why we use it in a ground fashion is because we don't want those leaves floating in our gumbo. The only thing we want you to see is those beautiful proteins under that velvety roux. So we put some ground thyme in there. Now, the last thing we have to do to this gumbo, and it also enhances the color, is we have our filet.
And that's the Native American influence.
That's it.
from
That's the sassafras leaf.
Yeah.
That's right. They grind it up. And then we have a little paprika. And this paprika is going to give that a little shine and just a little color. So here's the key. You cannot just throw filet in your gumbo because it's going to clump up. So what we do is we'll take a little scoop here. And we come in here. I put that on the side.
Now you're going to whisk that up.
Whisk it in. I make sure there's no clumps in here. Because if you get clumps in here, good luck trying to get that out of there. So here you can whisk it up fine. And you see that richness of that color right there? That is also going to add depth to the color that we have in here. And that's just a beautiful, look at that shine. That paprika is just shining. You look at that thickness of it. That's all that filet that's talking. Filet is a thickening agent in too. So you just start to hit.
So we have an African influence. We have a Native American influence.
That's
We have
right.
a Spanish influence.
That's
We
right.
have a French influence.
That's right.
All this culture coming together in one pot.
You just described Creole cuisine. That is our cuisine. That is who we are here in New Orleans. That is who we are here in Louisiana. You talk about those influences that we build on. That's why I call it the all-star cuisine, because we took the best of your culture, the best of your culture, and the best of our culture and made one beautiful cuisine.
Yep.
Now we start to just fold this in. And oh man, if you smell this right now, that beautiful shrimp that's coming, look at that. Oh my God. Just that color, that flavor. I mean, you talk about a beautiful gumbo. This is Liz Chase's recipe. This is what changed the course of America right here. Just that smell.
It's just beautiful.
God, beautiful. Get that crab in there. That beautiful seafood that's coming through. That sausage that's there. Look at that. Oh man. That's just beautiful. All that protein. Look at this velvety roux. And then that flavor that's just speaking through, you know. Only thing we got to do here is just plate this up. Now, the last thing you will do, I don't know, you got to let this, cut this up, cube it, but you can start to see how this is falling off that bone. You see that separation. That, I mean, you talk about flavor. I'm going to do one last taste, and then we'll put this in a bowl and enjoy this. Oh, man. That's heaven.
Perfection in a pot.
Perfection. That is Leah Chase, queen of Creole cuisine, gumbo, the best gumbo in the country, the gumbo that changed the course of the country, the gumbo that brings people together. That's this right here.
That's terrific. So that's Louisiana, a state with many great culinary dishes, but only gumbo reigns supreme. We'll see you next time on United Taste of America.